Okay.
I'll let you know if I make it.
Love you.
Well, I am off on fire closure area number 4. This fire closure area spans from White Pass to Snoqualmie Pass, and that's about 100 miles. But today I started at Chinook Pass and I'm hiking northbound to Snoqualmie, and I say I because I'm solo this stretch. So everything's all right. Mom rolled her ankle, as I mentioned before in the last video, but it's still sore and there's no point in her pushing herself, injuring herself, and then not being able to hike anymore the rest of the time. So because time is somewhat of the essence, we decided that I'd go ahead because I've got 1 month until I have to have this fire closure area done and then 5 additional ones. So I was gonna bring Fancy so it wouldn't be quite so lonely, but again, just for the sake of time, we knew that I'd go faster if it was just me. So they're both gonna take a rest. I'm kind of bummed out. I mean, I've hiked miles and miles and miles alone, but once you get used to kind of sharing something with folks, you know, it's nice. And I'm just really impressed though, because Mom rolled her ankle about 2 days before we got to town, and we did our biggest day with her having the rolled ankle. So pretty impressive. She's a tough lady. Before I scoped out this stretch and decided this was the one I was gonna do, I noticed that several miles are above 6,000 feet elevation, but you know, I figured if I just brought micro spikes and an ice axe, I'd be okay. But this morning at breakfast, I actually ran into a family of 4 kids and 2 parents. They are the Bennett family. They are through hiking this year. You can actually follow them on social media if you'd like. But they just finished the stretch from White Pass to Snoqualmie and let me know that from Chinook Pass north to Snoqualmie Pass, they didn't have any snow. So I am so excited that I ran into them. One, because it's cool to meet a family that's so inspiring. I mean, they have 4 children and they're through hiking, and also they have their nephew with them for a stretch right now. But anyway, you know, so to meet them was very cool, but also to get a trail report and know what the stretch is like. So it literally saved me pounds of gear, because not many people have been through here, and on the PCT Facebook page, I really haven't seen much information of what snow looked like through here. So anyway, thank you to the Bennett family for saving a little bit of weight off my back. And this is how it always is when you hear there's no snow in a section. I mean, this actually isn't snow to speak of, but nevertheless, my shoes have to touch snow. All right, here is home sweet home for the night. Pretty good little spot. The triplex is a big old lonely tent tonight. The weather's been nice. I can't decide whether I'm hot or cold. And I think last night it got down to about 35 degrees according to the weather report on my inReach. You know, my bag, or my quilt rather, is a 30-degree quilt. And I stayed warm in it once I put on my rain jacket and rain pants. But I am a very cold sleeper, so I'm surprised that even having the rain jacket and the rain pants on kept me warm enough with it being in the mid-30s and not having anybody else to help warm up a 3-person tent. So I'm glad that I didn't freeze all night long and that it's not been raining today. So far it's been pretty sunny, cloudy, but the clouds have been like the white, fluffy, pretty clouds, not just black skies or anything like that. Most of today has been ridge walking, so there have been some really, really pretty views. A mama bird just flew away from this. So let's see what's inside. Oh my gosh, I just watched that video from the nest. I couldn't see up in it. I used the tripod to look over there, and oh my goodness, it was the cutest thing. It makes me sad because it's obviously hungry and probably cold now since I scared the mom off, but I was only there a minute or two, so hopefully she'll come on back and take care of that baby. The snow is lava. Apparently off in here somewhere is wreckage from an airplane crash, so about 150 yards or so, so I'm gonna go check it out. Wow, this is really sad. I wonder how many people were in this, how long ago this was. I mean, I assume that somebody wouldn't survive this, but I don't know. I don't have any information on it, but it's crazy to see. Avoid the meadows. Well, I'm at camp. I only made it about 12 and a half miles today, or no, exactly 12 and a half miles on the dot today, which is a little less than I was wanting to do. The backs of my knees were feeling kind of swollen a little bit, and I know that when I feel that feeling, that if I push it too much after that, then I end up with what I call T-Rex knees, which is where it feels like you have to keep your knees bent when you walk. So I went ahead and stopped, and what I aim to do is just head out a little bit earlier in the morning. I didn't leave camp today until 9 because it's so hard to get out when it's cold. But anyway, so if I leave a little bit earlier, I can stop and take more breaks throughout the day. But hoping for about a 13 to 15 mile per day average from here on out. Now that I've had this pack for a few stretches, I feel like I can speak on it a little bit better. I wasn't sure how I would feel about this really tall, large pocket on the side here versus having two smaller pockets or shorter pockets on the side like this one. And that's what my Arc Haul had from Z-Packs, Hyperlight Mountain Gear, Southwest 3400 had, and the Osprey Aura, two of these shorter ones on the side. But honestly, I do wish that this pack had these two shorter pockets. However, I could see where somebody would really enjoy the large pocket on the side because I hear a lot of people put their shelter on this side. The triplex didn't fit too well down in this. In fact, I don't think I could make it fit. I could, if I wanted it on the outside, squeeze it into this pouch though, and then put all of the stuff that I carry in here over here. So I could make that work, but I'm a creature of habit, aren't we all? So, you know, I just make it work and put my tent on the inside. And then it makes reaching water bottles harder on this side. But again, if you have a 2-person or smaller, then this really would come in handy for you potentially, and you could just keep any water on this side. So I do love about the pockets though, this shorter pocket that's above this shorter pocket. So it's like a little double decker thing here. I've got some dirty clothes in there that I need to rinse out in a stream, my umbrella, but you know, you could carry like a fresh avocado from town, an apple. Honestly, I wish if I could make this pack suit me perfectly, it would have the two shorter pockets on either side and then one stacked above it like this one. I really do love that. But I do see where this would be very useful, and to me, this is not a deal breaker for this pack. But yeah, it's worked out well so far. And even in the stretch that I am alone, I am carrying Fancy's sleeping pad just because it gives some cushion back there. I was afraid it might rub me if I didn't have that. I can't say that it would have, but in this longer stretch, I didn't want to take that risk. So, but they do have one that comes with this, a sit pad, and then you can upgrade to one that has more airflow. I have noticed that my back is a little warmer when it's cold and a little sweatier when it's warm. So, but again, for me, it's not rubbed me or anything. So that's not a deal breaker. It does carry the extra weight that I've had in my pack very well. And I love the hip belt. I've heard some people say that they find the pockets are a little small. I haven't had that issue. My phone fits in there, snacks fit in there, my Sony RX100. So I am perfectly fine with the size of the pockets on the hip belt, which I love. I felt my hips getting a little bit sore from carrying the extra weight that they're not used to, you know, while they're sitting on a couch. But I have to say that out of the gate, this is the first pack that I've had that has not put visible bruises on me. Now, the bruises usually go away and it ends up being fine. I can't say that for the Z-Packs Arc Haul, if it would have caused that, because my hips were already acclimated to carrying weight when I swapped over to that one. So can't say, but this is the first one out of the gate. So compared to the Osprey Aura, compared to the Hyperlight mountain gear pack that I carried. And this one, this is the only one that has not bruised me starting a long distance hike. My getting out of camp early plan did not work out. I just need to set an alarm. When I started this fire closure trip, I brought my pair of Ultra Lone Peak 4.0s that I finished the CDT with because I felt like they still had a decent amount of miles left on them and ain't no sense in wasting some good shoes. So in the last stretch though, I started feeling my plantar fascia getting a little tender. So when we walked across the Bridge of the Gods, I officially retired them. I didn't like throw them into the gorge or anything. For now, I'm in a pair of Ultra Temps, and I tried a couple of pairs of these on the CDT, and the second pair failed before mile 200. So I contacted them and let them know, and they quickly sent me out another pair of Temps that I just kept at my house saved because I really do prefer the Lone Peaks. But I mean, since I had the pair, I brought them with me, and that's what I'm in now. So I'll probably just use these until mile 500 or so on them, and then swap back to a pair of Lone Peaks. Well, I guess a little shower has decided to roll in, so I had to stop and put my rain gear on. But I think that there's a little bit more consistency to these raindrops than just liquid water. I'm thinking that it's gonna try to hail on me here. Hail drops are falling on my head, they keep falling. I don't know the rest of the song. I am really glad that Mom and Fancy got to sit this out. If we had had Fancy out here in this, we would have had to find some place to hunker down. I'm actually in some legitimate trees now, but of course the hail has kind of stopped, which I'm glad. I was aiming to get here in that rain and hail, and of course now it's gorgeous out, but that's okay because it's still a good spot to take a break, and it'll give me a place to kind of lay things out and let everything air out after getting rained on. So this is the first time the new pack has been soaked, and it seems to be drying pretty quickly now that the sun is out, so that's good. I can tell, of course, it's not a waterproof pack, that it did get damp on the inside. If you see, the bag here's got some water drops on it, but they are on the outside. Of course, this is rolled down. It has my sleeping bag in it. So here's the moment of truth to see how the pack liner did. And my quilt is completely dry. Yes, trail magic. Cool beans. Well, I sure am glad I got everything dried out on my break just in time for it to rain again. Oh man. Oh, it's hailing again too. I'll go ahead and take cover under some trees. Well, I say I'm gonna take cover. I'm in a burn area, so not much cover to offer here. At least I got that foam sleeping pad and an umbrella, and worst case I'll put my pack over my head, but I might just keep on trucking for now. It does always make me sad when I walk through these burn areas to see just so much acreage that's just gone. And in a way I look at it and I think how horrible it is that all of this was lost. But then I see the bear grass growing up in it, and you know, other vegetation that's starting to establish itself. And I look at a lot of things on the trail as compared to regular life. When one cycle or one stage or whatever ends and no longer exists, it usually leaves an opening for new growth of some other kind. So even if that's generations passing on and kind of handing off what they earned and what they did to, you know, another generation, or even in one's individual life, I assume that this bear grass probably wouldn't flourish without all the light coming through where these trees used to be. And you know, this is a better habitat for them to exist than if the forest was still here. So anyway, I guess, you know, we can always dwell on the negative and just think, wow, how terrible, and be sad and just waller in misery. Or you can look at it and say, well, now that that's gone and the page and the chapter has turned, you know, it's time for something new. And so I think if you just look around, nature can teach you a whole lot. Okay, just kidding. Apparently bear grass does just fine in forested areas, but y'all get my point.